Hello, welcome to a brief video where we explore bridging from current curriculum to new curriculum. Before we get going with the resources that I hope to share with you, I want you to take a moment and think about the kinds of information we're hoping to gain from a bridging document. And the reason I'm asking you to consider this is because sometimes we spend our energy seeking out a particular resource, such as a bridging document, when the reality is we have the skills to do this thinking ourselves. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that later on in this presentation. But take a moment, make some jot notes, turn and talk to a friend if you happen to be sharing this video with someone, and think about what information you're hoping to gain from a bridging document. There are two different resources that I'm going to provide links for in the video description space for you to access. The first one, of course, is the new.learnalberta site, where you will find a number of bridging documents for each of the subject areas related to curriculum implementation. The one criticism that I've heard from teachers in relation to these bridging documents is that they are quite vague in nature. So while some teachers are looking for some very specific information around the parts that students are going to need to be caught up on, or as one teacher put it, the leaps between current and new, as opposed to just the gaps. But if you're looking for a general overview of how the current curriculum and the new curriculum kind of stack up against one another, you can check out the bridging documents here on this site. The next place that you can go is through our own Learning Network educational resources, and where you will find a number of documents that our friends at the Central Alberta Consortia have put together, where they have compared the new curriculum with the current curriculum in a chart form. On our curriculum implementation resources page, you're going to find a number of different items that might prove to be helpful for you. The first thing that you're going to see as you scroll down are the slide decks we've created, where we've taken the learning outcomes and we've sorted them by understanding. And there's some tips here about how to print them out so that you're able to manipulate the cusps while they are still attached to the learning outcome for your planning, if that's the strategy you like to use in planning. For this particular topic, however, in bridging, I would encourage you to scroll down to the bottom of the page, where you are going to see 3 different subject areas here. And you can go ahead and click on those, and that's going to take you to a Drive folder where you're able to open up the document. And in it, you will see that all of the new ideas and understandings have been highlighted in yellow. And so at a quick glance, you can see that for grade 1 math, we now have to go to 100. We have to use the phrase of not equal. We've got some whole part relationships connected to fractions here. We've got some pieces around patterning that have been added. We've got some statistics, time. So at a quick glance, you can see those changes. I encourage you to take some time to explore these documents with the understanding that they are not in a final form, they're still in draft form. And the intent of them is for you to have conversation and do some reflecting as you look at this, the connection between the outcomes, as opposed to a one-stop shop for your planning and consideration of implementation. I would like for you to consider that we do this bridging kind of work all of the time in our classes as we go to teach a concept in any given subject area and realize that not all of our learners are functioning at the same level of understanding or skill. And so how we go about doing that work is inherently part of the work that we do as educators, our professional skill set. So we look at our program of studies, we look at the outcome, and we say, okay, what is it the students need to know, understand, and do? And then when we see that they can't do it, or perhaps we already know in advance heading into this that they don't have the skills through our observations to do this particular outcome, then we have to work our way backwards and say, okay, so what are the prerequisite skills? What comes before this particular outcome? And if you're not sure, that's when you can head down the hallway to the grades before you. That's when you can contact us at Learning Network. You can contact people through your central office or other colleagues and say, hey, what skill comes before this particular thing that I need to teach? And then we're going to think about how we use or could use our intervention and our differentiated instruction strategies to help these kiddos gain that knowledge that they need for that prerequisite skill before we can move into teaching the aim as outlined in the current program of studies. And then what am I going to see from those students when they get it and are ready to move into the next layer of understanding or learning? So this idea of bridging very much is tied into your skill set as a professional through how we assess and observe and plan in our classrooms. And so I don't want you to spend too much time and energy worrying about this idea of the hunt for the perfect bridging document when you have those skills as professionals to make these decisions and move your instruction forward in the ways that best meet the needs of your students. For next steps, please feel free to reach out to your local consortia office or us at Learning Network. We can be found on Twitter and of course via our website. If you have specific learning needs, please contact our executive director via email. And I encourage you to keep an eye on arpdc.ab.ca for different tips and tricks related to curriculum implementation.